Good morning, guys. This is just a quick update to my last video, which was talking about or showing you the EMP Commission talking about the potential ability for North Korea to be able to strike the US mainland with an EMP, which was launched from a nuclear warhead, which is orbiting a satellite above the US, and it does so several times a day. So I just wanted to give you a quick update. This article was published today, 19th of October. And I just wanted to quickly read it for you. So this is just covering some more of the potential scenario of having a nuclear warhead in a satellite. New satellite images show North Korea despot Kim Jong-un is gearing up for a further missile launch as he plans the most devastating explosion the world has ever seen. But some experts now suggest a totalitarian madman may not be targeting a city but a nuclear explosion in space, which would spread deadly radioactive fallout across a vast area. International experts fear the brutal dictator is trying to develop a nuclear ICBM capable of reaching the US and have pointed to the development of a series of man-made islands which have appeared in Yellow Sea which are equipped with military facilities. But data leaking out of Pyongyang now suggests Kim Jong-un will get around the huge technical difficulties of making a missile land on a prescribed target thousands of miles away by perfecting a space burst. An orbital burst over the US would not only knock out millions of electronic items as phones and computers because of the nuke's electromagnetic pulse, but kill millions from radiation poisoning as the fallout fell to Earth. North Korea launched its first pilot communication satellite, Kwangmyang-song-1, as far back as August 1998. In February 2016, with a successful entry into orbit of Kwangmyang-song-4, Kim Jong-un boasted the country entered the practical satellite developing stage. Just this week, ironically, as US spy satellite pictures circulated, North Korea's deputy UN ambassador said the country plans to launch many more missiles and accused the United States of trying to block its efforts to help peacefully develop outer space. Kim Il-roy told a UN General Assembly Committee meeting on international cooperation in the peaceful uses of outer space that the country's 5-year plan for 2016 to 2020 includes development of practical missiles that can contribute to the economic development and improvement of the people's living. But US hawks remain unconvinced. Former CIA Director James Woolsey said the new threat was being taken seriously by the US. He said the really dangerous thing is that they can both orbit satellites. They've orbited several and used nuclear weapons. And if they detonate a weapon up some miles above the Earth in a satellite, they can knock out a major share of our electric grid. It's much harder to hit a city than it is to detonate something in space. That's just put in a satellite. So we're not talking about some giant project just detonating a nuclear weapon in a satellite in orbit, in low Earth orbit. They're closer to doing that than they are being able to hit a target in the United States. You're going to have to worry about, especially with the North Koreans and the Iranians, you're going to have to worry about electromagnetic pulses that they would produce knocking out our electric grid. And we don't have to worry about that we didn't have to worry about that in previous wars. As fears escalate, unclassified documents from the Cold War revealed the US detonated a nuclear bomb in the atmosphere themselves to see what would happen. At the height of their rivalry with Russia on July 9, 1962, the US launched Operation Starfish Prime with an explosive yield of 1.4 megatons, approximately 100 times that of the Hiroshima bomb, which was around 13 kilotons. It was expected to give the US a tip-off on what they would expect if the USSR decided to send a bomb into space. Starfish Prime was part of a series of high-altitude tests, and the effects were felt for thousands of miles. The explosion took place 400 kilometers above the Johnston Atoll, roughly 900 miles southwest of Hawaii, above the northern Pacific Ocean. It was also aimed at testing how the Earth's radiation belts, known as the Van Allen belts, would react. The resulting fallout from the bomb caused a temporary alteration in the shape of the belts, and a Fox aurora borealis was seen across the Pacific Ocean from Hawaii to New Zealand. Crucially to the test was how far-reaching was the impact of the electromagnetic pulse. It was reported the Hawaiian island of Oahu received a power surge that knocked out numerous electric devices, but it was during a time when there was less technology and less systems critically dependent on the infrastructure, and an area which was less built up than cities such as New York. And reports claim that 1/3 of the satellites in low orbit were damaged by the artificial radiation belt, which was created in the EMPs, which could have devastating consequences today, as there were only a fraction of satellites during the 1960s when compared to today. The US conducted its last nuclear test in 1992 after the fall of the Soviet Empire, and there has been debate over the use of nukes ever since, but the current situation with North Korea has thrust them into the spotlight once again. The Hermit Kingdom conducted a failed missile test in flagrant fireguard of international sanctions in recent weeks, which has elicited swift retribution from Mr. Trump, who promptly sent warships to the Korean Peninsula. The Commander-in-Chief has deployed the USS Carl Vinson aircraft, as well as Reagan and another one which I can't remember the name of right now, alongside the USS Michigan, oh there it is, nuclear-powered submarine in North Korean waters. It was joined by Japanese warships in a show of strength against the despot Kim Jong-un. Despot Kim Jong-un retaliated by threatening to our US submarines into underwater ghosts. I'm guessing that was supposed to say Kim Jong-un retaliated by threatening to turn our US submarines into underwater ghosts. Pyongyang's propaganda website, Urminzorki, said the moment the USS Michigan tries to budge even a little, it will be doomed to face the miserable fate of becoming an underwater ghost without being able to come to the surface. So that's the article, and I just wanted to highlight it because it's a bit worrying to think that there could be a nuclear weapon just orbiting above us, and at any moment it could be detonated. But then that ties into the rhetoric coming from North Korea and Kim Jong-un saying that they can retaliate at any time, at any moment. That has been what Kim Jong-un's been saying for the longest time. We can strike at any moment when you're not expecting it, on and on and on. And as I'm looking at it, to launch a missile or several missiles from Pyongyang to get to the west coast, you've got to pass Japan, South Korea, Guam, and other islands which house military bases. And there's more opportunities for the US and their allies to be able to knock a missile or several missiles out of the sky before they actually reach the west coast or east coast of America. But with a satellite launch, there is no such interception. There is nothing standing in the way. And as in the last video I posted with the doctor talking about the missile defenses basically facing the wrong way, and that North Korea could launch this nuclear warhead from the satellite coming from the south, over the South Pole region, which there is no interceptors there. None of the interceptors are facing that way. I'm not sure why the interceptors can't just be turned around, but I'm guessing it doesn't work that way. Probably something to do with the curvature of the Earth and stuff like that. I'm not actually a scientist, so I'd have to look into that a little bit more to actually understand exactly what he's saying. But I can only imagine if that did happen, it would be, in my mind, I'm seeing it as a deadly beauty. It would be something that people would look up, and it would cause auroras across the hemispheres, and people would be looking up and they'd be amazed. They'd have their camera phones out and taking videos, and unless you are aware of what is happening or the potential for that to happen, when you see something like that, you're going to probably think it's natural or something, and just be looking up and staring up at the sky and amazed, and as I said, recording and taking pictures until the moment the pressure wave reaches you, and then the nuclear radiation. Obviously the pressure wave wouldn't be as strong as if it was detonated like 10 meters above the ground, but I'm guessing the effects would still be felt, and millions will still die. Obviously not instantly from burns and incineration like they would if the weapon was detonated at ground level, but the fallout would contaminate everything. Food, water, everything you touch would be radiated, and that would lead to the death of millions of people slowly. And I kind of get the image in my mind of like World War Z, kind of like the zombie apocalypse. People are just deteriorating, boils and skin and things like that, peeling and things. Oh, it's just, the image of it is not good. But I think we've been predictably programmed by all these movies and TV shows and the media, the news, experts telling us things. And you've even got, I think it's today, you've got something around the world, I think it's called Shakeout or something like that. Let me just have a quick search while I've got you here. I think it's called Shakeout, yeah, the Great Shakeout. I mean, this is just another thing. They said it's been going on for a number of years. This is the first year I've heard of it. Maybe it's because I'm researching a lot more than I was in the previous years. But these kind of things, they're all preparing you for the things to come. So we all know that an earthquake is gonna eventually hit California. You've got the San Andreas fault, you've got the Cascadia fault, um, and there's another one, but I can't remember it right now off the top of my head. But we know that an earthquake is going to hit, a major earthquakes. We've been told years and years and years in advance, scientists and documentaries and all sorts of things telling us about a great earthquake that could hit California, um, causing rupture in the earth and killing millions of people. We've been told about the potential for a mega tsunami coming from Cumbria Vieja, the volcano in the Canary Islands. And it just becomes, it just gets to the point. I mean, this is just 2 hours ago. Let's have a quick look at what that's saying. But it gets to the point where you're told so much about these things that you just eventually ignore it. It just becomes commonplace. It just slips into the back of your mind, and you don't you don't think about it as you would if it was, say, for example, someone said to you, "Oh, a volcano might explode tomorrow," and then if it did explode tomorrow, it would be expected. But when you say, "Oh, there's an imminent earthquake, or there's an imminent volcano, or there's an imminent tsunami, or there's a imminent chance that North Korea could launch a nuclear weapon from a missile from a satellite," and then it doesn't happen within the next day or the next week or the next month or the next year, people just forget about it. They just, it didn't happen. Whatever you're saying is just conspiracy theories and all that stuff. But as you can see, my computer's going a bit crazy. But that's just it, guys. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Every day, every chance I get, I'm researching, I'm looking at news reports, I'm going through YouTube, I'm gaining knowledge and trying to increase my awareness of what's going on around me, because too often we're closed down, we're stuck in our own little bubbles, and we just continue on day to day, day to day. And when something does happen, like 9/11 or the earthquake, tsunami, and nuclear plant devastation in Japan, or the earthquake in Mexico, or floods in Bangladesh, you know, it just, we become numb to it. And I don't want to become numb to something that could potentially kill millions of people. And I want to stay alert. So if I'm alert, I might be able to alert some other people as well. And even if nothing happens, at least I've in my heart, I know that I've done something good for humanity. Being prepared is never bad. At the end of the day, it's the Boy Scouts motto: always be prepared. And it's a good motto. It's something that you should follow. You know, in these days and times when so many things are going on. Sorry to rant, but I just want to let you know that you should have already your 3 to 1 week supply of water. I've got a month's supply of water just waiting there. I've got frozen food. Obviously, if the electric goes out, then that's going to be a bust. But you know, it's the steps that you take, having flashlights and compasses and maps. Because if your phone goes down, you won't have Google Maps and you won't have access to information. So getting books, you can save everything in your computer, but if the electric goes and there's nothing for you to charge your computer, or nothing for you to actually be able to plug into the AC and just switch it on, then the information that you've saved there is going to be pretty much next to useless. Well, not pretty much, it is useless. You can't access it. So whatever you look at online and you save and you think, I'm just going to come back to it later, if you wake up in the morning, there's no electric, what are you coming back to? I suggest printing. Obviously, the whole point of saving paper doesn't make any sense, because the tree's already been cut down, the paper's been made, so you might as well make use of it, buy it, put it in your printer, print out the information that you'll need in the event that something goes wrong, and keep it somewhere safe. And that's my video for today. Sorry for the long talk and not much action going on the screen, but I hope you understand what I'm saying and where I'm coming from, and I hope that you take it seriously enough that you'll go out and buy yourself a couple of weeks worth of water. Water's never going to go to waste, so it's not something that you're wasting your money on. You're going to use the water regardless, but I suggest that you have these kind of things. Look at Puerto Rico, they didn't expect that they'd be without power, and even if they did think that the electric grid would go down, They never expected that a month later they'd still be in this condition, that people would be dying from lack of water and lack of food and lack of medical resources, and basically a lack of care coming from the people that are in a position to help them. And I have to ask myself seriously on the inside, why is it that Puerto Rico is suffering in 2017 when we've got so much resources? They keep claiming that we're running out of resources. Sure, we're running out of things like oil. Oil is not renewable, but it is. It just takes millions and billions of years for it to be produced from the dead fossils and plants and stuff like that to be able to actually, turn into oil. At the rate we're taking it from the earth, it can't replenish as quickly as we take it. So obviously it's going to run out, but eventually it will replenish itself again. But when you're talking about these kind of things, you're talking about that. Well, the only thing that's not really replaceable is human life. And at the end of the day, if we're in a position to help someone else or to warn someone else, then we should take the opportunity. What gives my heart, a little bit of a lift, is to see, titles like this, like war veterans
The
deploy
most
themselves
important
to
rituals
help
in
Puerto Rico.
Argentina is the
I mean,
pasta
how
and the
bad?
barbecue. You
Sorry
talk,
about the
you
advert,
drink
but how
wine,
bad does it have
you
to
drink,
get
then you sit and eat,
for
and then you sit and eat.
you know
This is the huge difference
ex-military
between
veterans
Argentina and another
to
country.
actually pick themselves up without being told by their government to just get themselves up and go, because the red tape, the bureaucracy is too much. But yeah, I'm gonna stop there because I just remembered that the warning came up for my low battery, so I don't want the video to end without me actually having saved it. So have a good day, guys.